Be inspired, woman.
Up next is a young lady that I have known for many years. I first knew her as a singer, and then I was very surprised to then see that she could cook. And she flaunts her cooking all over social media. And what I love about her is that she's borderline comedian, to be honest with you. Please look her up. Today, she's here and she's going to share health via what you eat. Please put your hands together for JB Rose, the singing vegan mum. Come on, let's hear it.
Hello, everybody. Oleo. 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 Olala. Ola, olala. Ola, olala. Ola, olala. Ola, olala. Oleo. 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 Oleo, olala. Ola, olala. Ola, olala. Good afternoon, ladies, and what a lovely afternoon to see you. Yes, my name is Jamie Rose, and yes, I know Elaine from back in the day. I was thinking about you the other day, Elaine, and I remember singing. I was doing backing singing for Omar years ago at the carnival. I was about 17, and I remember seeing you because you were on LWR or something. See, I'm just showing my age, right? So it's just so nice to be amongst you all. Yes, I'm a singer, but as the years have gone on, I'm also now called the vegan mum. And I just wanted to share with you my journey as to how I got to where I put my phone down. And I'm now going to put on my glasses. I typed it out because I did not want to miss a beat, but I'm sure I won't lose it. So I'm going to tell you about me, how I became the vegan mum, how I started, and my journey, and everything. So, my name is JB Rose. And I have a YouTube called JB Rose Singing Vegan Mum. And for many years, I was in pursuit of happiness as a singer and a songwriter. I believe that what I was called to do was to be a singer and a songwriter, and that was it. And so I spent all my time, as I said, going to gigs, shows, working, backing singing for this one, writing for that one. Luckily, I had parents who understood what I was doing, so I was working hard. In hindsight, there was a lot of self-learning I had to do, self-love, awareness, courage. I needed to learn as well about life, because the music industry was breaking my heart. Breaking my heart. Everywhere I went, I was too skinny. Then I was too fat. Then I was too black. Then I was too light. Then I didn't have the right manager. I performed. Everything wasn't right. I wasn't American. I wasn't anything. Everything was wrong. And no matter what I did, it wasn't enough. Because of the gatekeepers that were in the way. So, some of my highs was I was signed to Sony Records. Simon Cowell was there. I always remember it. Simon Cowell got me in the group. I was in this group called Maximum Style. And I was a featured act. There's a lot of featuring on different people's albums and stuff. And so I signed up with this group called Maximum Style. It was drum and bass. And, you know, he signed up a whole lot of artists, actually. Omar, Noel McCoy, rest in peace. Loads of people all at once. And then Simon Cowell would have us all trained to his office. He had these loads of dogs. And he said, oh, it's a bit scary. And at the same time, remember Robinson and Jerome? Yeah, so he was looking after Robinson and Jerome, he was looking after Elton John, and then he signed up a whole lot of black acts, and I was one of them. And I thought, wow, this is it, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be the British answer to Whitney Houston, it's going to be good. Nah, Nah. Literally, they signed us all up to do nothing. They gave us a few, couple of £1,000, and that was it. Heartbroken. After a couple of years of taking us out of the industry, really, getting us recording, getting us busy, they dropped us. It wasn't just me, it was a whole load of acts as well. Yeah? The whole of us. So my heart was broken. But some of the other highs were, I'm a playwright and a writer, so I came up through theatre, and so I wrote, and I was a co-writer on a TV show called Brothers and Sisters. Remember Brothers and Sisters? So I was on the team of writers. There was 5 writers, and there was 2 series, and I got to write for both series. They did the usual thing where they dropped a whole lot of the people, but this time round, for the writing, I was kept. So I wrote for the 2 series of Brothers and Sisters. So that was a high. And I was also the warm-up act for Shaka Khan. That was a high. It was amazing. And Shaka Khan was amazing, and it was really good. It was at Hammersmith Apollo. So I've had quite a lot of highs along the way. I've had singles, white labels. I've featured on lots of albums. I've toured with groups as a solo artist, as a singing. I've been, as I said, loads and loads of singing. You know, you see those singers on top of the pops in the background. They're working hard, trust me. Yeah? And you've got these gatekeepers going, not enough. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So it was getting highly frustrated. But as you can see, if you know me or follow me on my socials, I'm a glass half full kind of a girl. I believe that music alone was what I was called to do. However, the breaking point was a couple of things. There was a New Year's Eve party, and I was asked to sing, and I got a band together and everything. And guess what? The promoter decided not to pay me. Now that's all right, because if it was me, I could cope. But I had 5 band members, and it's New Year's Eve, they turned down other work, they were performing with me, and guess what? They all turned on me, decided that I was in cahoots with the actual promoter, and I was literally in the corner, these big men talking about king and stuff were all on me, right? And that was it. New Year's Day, I literally decided to stay in my house. I laid on the couch and I cried from morning right down till night. And I said, you know what? That's enough. Not singing, I will keep singing, but I am not going to keep putting myself in the way of harm. Not going to do it. So I just chilled for a minute on the whole music thing, and I did weddings and christenings and all that sort of stuff. That always happened. But that big hard pursuit, that big record label, no, not anymore. Meanwhile though, I was always close to my mum. Now my mum, she also has her story. Her story was that she was illegitimate. Now you know back in Jamaica, the Caribbean, back in them days, if you were married, if you had a baby outside of marriage, shia. So my mum was then cut off and sent off to her dad, who had married, and so she was the stepdaughter, and she was treated like Cinderella. And once again, she wasn't right either. She was very tall, so she was too tall. She was too skinny, and she was very dark. They used to call her Langalala. Yeah. And then she got, Langalala never could eat good meat. So I used to hear my mum say all these sayings, and if you follow me on my YouTube, I've been doing a lot of her sayings these days. Langalala can never eat good meat. I didn't know what she was saying sometimes, but I would just say what she would say. Because I'm British, I don't really know what she's saying. But I knew that there was pain in all of that. So when my mum came to this country, she married my dad, and she started to live her life. And as a daughter, I used to take her shopping every Saturday, and always to the doctors. So the doctor's visits were, you know, every so often. But as she got older, the doctor's visits got more and more. I wasn't paying attention. I just did what I was told. Oh, you have to go to Dr. Ganudi. There was this nice man called Dr. Ganudi, and he was Italian, and he used to be lovely. And they used to sit there talking about it, and then she'd go, oh, Miss Rose, your kidney functions is 60%. I wasn't understanding. And as the years go by, we'd go, see, Dr. Ganudi, and he'd go, your kidney functions is 40%. She also had a diabetic nurse, and she also had the doctor. She had loads of people administering to her. And I was just doing what I was told, and I wasn't thinking about it. But also, I loved cooking, because she taught me. Because she was a stepdaughter, they didn't want to feed her, and they didn't want to send her to school. They kept her at home, and she did all the cooking. And my stepmother had like a bakery. So my mum learned how to cook patty and corn and kind of things. And she taught me. And I loved it. So as the years went by, I was taken to the doctors. She was doing less because she was getting sicker. And I was doing more. Until near the very end, she would just supervise me at Christmas dinner and Easter dinner and whatever, and tell me, no, why you put that in? And she just told me what to do. Because she was sick. So, as the kidney function got to 10%, which is 2018, I spent a lot of time in hospital with my mum. A lot. And by then, although I was always singing, the singing was out the door. And it became my pleasure to look after my mum. It was the proudest thing I ever did, was to look after my mum. And I ended up sitting in I felt like I was one of the doctors. I would sit with him. And he'd go, oh, your mum can come out today. I was, oh, great, nice. And then I'm coming now, the next day, oh, she can't come out. Why? Oh, there's a spike. What's the spike? Oh, something with your sugar. So what happened between yesterday and now? Oh, the dinner lady came, and the tea lady, and they gave her tea and biscuits. And then because by now the sugar had made her body shocked, anytime she put one little piece of sugar in her mouth, that's it. Everything went crazy, and we can't take her home. And she was getting sicker and sicker. This lovely, kind woman was told that if she ate Coca-Cola but the Sprite, the one 50% less, or the no calorie one, the Coca-Cola, they're there, all everything there. And no fatless salad cream and no percent sugar things, that she would be alright. So she was eating all these foods, not knowing it was replaced with something that was even more toxic. And the doctors knew it. They knew it. And so I'm watching my mum, and I started going frantically into, okay, I'm going to have to get into this vegan business. I mean, I became a vegan 14 years ago, but I really went into it. Herbalist, speaking to people, and I learned so much. And I started to get passionate. And she was a good student, and so whatever I gave her, she took. However, it was way too late. Way too late. 10% kidney function. And my mum, who was normally very kind, very soft, her personality changed. She was lying on the bed, and she was literally howling in pain. Now, I don't want to depress you all, and I'm sure you've all had very similar issues with your own family or other people. But that got me passionate. And remember, I started off this talk saying to you, I thought my purpose was just to be a singer. And I was pursuing it as everybody would pursue it. But then I realized I love cooking too. So why can't I be all of that? Why can't I? So, my mum got sick, and in 2018, she died. She had a heart attack because of the diabetes, and then she died. And again, my dad and I literally just looked at each other, and that hurt my heart. So I'm going to carry on again. I have a 14-year-old boy, and I have a 10-year-old. And this continues with the whole idea of why I'm the vegan singing mum, or the singing vegan mum. So at 4 years old, my son got pox. And the chicken pox went to his brain, and he got a thing called encephalitis, which is very similar to meningitis. My son just flopped over, and he was literally wringing wet. Never seen it before. Picked him up. Where I live, ambulances don't know how to find. I flung him in the car. My youngest was 9 months old. I didn't know how he slipped in the car, but we drove to the hospital. By the time we got to the hospital, it was just in time. If we didn't get him in time, minutes later, I wouldn't be telling you that I have a 14-year-old son. Over the years, so he was in hospital for 4 or 5 weeks. I've got my beautiful friend Keller at the back, who's selling clothes at the moment. Please patronise her. But he was in intensive care for 3 weeks. He literally, it's a swelling of the brain, and my son was a cabbage. He was literally a lovely, bright, smart boy, now a cabbage. And they were talking about all sorts of things, needing to learn to walk and all that sort of stuff. And what happened was, we just started to pray, of course, a lot of praying happening. And he had to learn to walk, talk, everything again. He had lost all memory of how to use his body. And I've got to say, his dad was amazing. Every time my son opened his eyes, he would make him sit up, even though he was flopping, just to get things moving. Every time. And then also, he had to learn to talk. So the voice teacher told me what I had to teach my son to learn to speak again. So when he went back home, it took a couple of years. My son started to get back all his, and he's pretty much normal. However, the fallout was he was having seizures. So if I was somewhere singing, oh, la, 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 ring, ring, school, he's in an ambulance, your son's had a seizure. And these were life-threatening seizures. So again, it was very difficult with my mum being ill, my son with his seizures. I would rush to the hospital, 3-day stays, 1 week stays. They didn't know why he was having these seizures, apart from saying it's the fallout from having encephalitis. So again, I had to start looking at his diet. Take out the cheese, take out the milk. Because though I was a vegan, he was a vegetarian because I want the dad would take him and give them macaroni cheese or whatever it is. But that was not agreeing with my son. So eventually, the school couldn't cope with all these seizures, and they wanted to start giving him a medicine called, I can't remember, sodium valproate. Sodium valproate is what you give to people who have mental health issues. And that would mean my son would start behaving in that way. So I said, no, I'm going to find some health things. The nurses and the doctors rang me every single day and told me and threatened me that they would take my son away from me if I did not start giving him this valproate. It was very difficult. I did after a while, and it hurt my heart because my son changed because of this medicine. And eventually went to see another specialist, and the specialist said, what the hell are they giving you this for? It's only masking what the real problem is, and we don't know what the problem is. And again, this is what I learned again from the doctors, which is they know that often the medicines that they're giving is just masking it. It's like a band-aid, but they don't actually know what's going on. So my ex also wanted him to be on all these medicines. The school wanted him to be on these medicines, and the school wanted to then give him some kind of special needs thing. He wasn't special needs. We just need to work out why he was having these seizures. I took him out of the school. I started letting him have different alternative medicines, much to my ex's problem. And at 14 now, last year, we got signed off from the paediatrician. My son is not having any more seizures. And that is because I didn't just listen to what the doctors said, because what I realised over the years is the doctors have not made a connection between what we put in our mouths, how we live our lives, to our illness. And guess what? When I used to sit next to this doctor here and that doctor there, they said we probably have about 1 week in the whole of their 6 years about nutrition. Now, I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not an expert, but I know that we are all being lied to, yeah? And we're all being told that it's okay to have certain certain things, foods, lifestyles, and then it's going to be all right on the night. And guess what? It ain't. And to watch your people, our people, just fade away in so much pain. So one more story, and we're going to bring it up. Last year, 9 months ago, eight months ago, my dad also passed. Again, the diabetes. Again, very similar circumstances. Again, not a great experience with the hospitals. And so, I say all of that because all these years, I've been thinking about what's my purpose? What have I been called to do all these years? And I realise, using my platform, I can do that. I can say, be a singer, talk about health, and entertain people, and bring it to people in a fun way. So that's what I wanted to tell you all about, really, is like how I got to be here. And what I find to be a blessing is the internet. Because if I had the internet all those years ago, things would be completely different. But now, I can create my own path. I've got no gatekeepers telling me I'm too black, or too fat, or too skinny, or too old. All the things, because they're basically, they just tell me these things. You know what I mean? They don't care. I can find my purpose. And I want to ask you today, guys, have you found your purpose? Do you know your purpose? Because I bet you're living it in everything that you do. I bet you are. Yeah? So all this time when I loved cooking and I loved singing, I didn't think there was a place. But I carved my own place. And so I want to encourage you to carve out your own place. And be healthy and be fit. And ask questions. And don't allow people to tell you to have low expectations of yourself. We have high expectations. We want our kids to have degrees. We want our kids to do well in the job. We have all these high expectations. But we don't have any high expectations for ourselves and for our own health. Because guess what? All our parents, our aunties are going. And we are left. And we have to look after ourselves. So what's my purpose? My purpose is to help everybody live their purpose in a healthy way. So thank you for listening to me. I'm going to come back later and I'm going to sing to you all. And before I end, I just want to end with my call and response. Back in Africa, when we wanted people, we would call them and you would respond. So please, I want to hear you nice and loud, guys. Oleo! Oleo! It's not loud enough, I'm sorry. Yeah. Nice big friend, here we go. Oleo! 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 Oleo, ole, ole, oh la la. Oleo, ole, ole, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Where you are, just stamp your feet. Let's get some energy going. There we go. Nice and loud now. Same thing. Oleo. 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 Ole, 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 oh la la. Ole, 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 oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Ola, oh la la. Thank you for listening to me, guys. And I'll see you later.
Thank you so much. What a moving story. Honestly, I don't know if any of you had to look after your elders, your mum and what have you. For me, I did. And it's once a man, twice a child. And when the doctors are telling you this, that and the other, do remember that they're selling you drugs, aren't they? So for my girl to pursue and pursue, even with her son, I think more kudos to her. And you must check out her, I think it's JB Rose singing Vegan Mum. When you see the food that she prepares, you want to become a vegan. Can I ask her one question though, because it always baffles me. JB Rose, please come back, I need to ask you this question. Because I don't know, I'm a novice, I love food, as you can see. right? What's the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian?
A vegetarian still eats milk and cheese. A vegan, no animal products whatsoever. No fish, no animals. And actually, a vegetarian is not that's a pescatarian. A vegetarian eats cheese and milk, but doesn't eat meat. But a vegan eats no plant, no animals. Literally plant, nuts, seeds, beans, that sort of stuff.
And it's satisfying and obviously keeps your figure trim, right?
We try.
Absolutely beautiful. One more time for JB Rose, the singing vegan mom. Louder than that, please. And subscribe. So we just Googled JB Rose. Can we help her? What's that? I know. Your mum used to drag around the market with a shopping trolley. And the worst thing about that is that she bump into everybody who knows her. And they look at you and they go, I tell you that, take her out big. And like, we expected you to stay that size, forever. Of course we're going to grow it. But anyway, you ready? Alright, let's introduce her again and let's bring the house down. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for J.B. Rose!
Hello everybody. There you can see it. So, how are you all doing? Very well. What a lovely evening. Oh, it's not black, but I think it might pull out. I played your big guitar. Thank you so much for your patience. It's been a lovely day. There you go. Come on, let it go. We're in the far one. Let's have a look. There you go, something like that. There you go. There you go. Back, oh, that's all right. Do it to Okay, so earlier I did a speech. I talked about the reason why I do what I do. Singing Vegan Mum. Please subscribe, JB Rose Singing Vegan Mum. I'm obsessed with cooking, and as Elaine said, I've got lots and lots of recipes on the thingy. I can't sing and play, and I realise that there is no mic. I will send my voice to the back of the room. Okay, so I want to dedicate this song. You'll know this song, but I'm dedicating it to my mum. It's called Ain't No Sunshine. Now I've got a little job for you all to do. And when I sing Ain't No Sunshine when she's gone, you're going to go dum, 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 dum. It's not warm where, and then you're going to go dum, 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 dum. Lovely, okay, so you're going to sing along with me. You are, my back is singing. Let's come up again. Somebody, anybody else? Okay, so are you ready to hear your voice? Hey! 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 We'll practice. Shine when she's when he's away. Sunshine when she's gone. She's
2018. I've got quite a few songs coming out this year, but I'm going to sing for you Back to Love. When you're ready, guys. If you've heard it, sing along with it. It's an uplifting song, and I hope you can sing along and dance along to it. You might know it if you listen to radios. So, are you ready? No? No, the other one.
What's that humming?
Humming.
Is that your guitar?
Back to Love. Oh, could be my guitar, yes.
Back to love. Back to love.
Okay. You're going to hear two songs. It's actually two there. All right, thank you. Okay, this is called Gold, which I had out a couple of years ago. Ooh, yeah.
And it shows that you're gold.
They criticize, say they can lie, ways to make me feel like I'm worth it. I internalize, I wear my disguise until I saw her light and it reflected. But I'm gonna wave it down. Now I see it from ain't nobody tell you how, and I wanna tell you how. It shows that you're gold. Everything you do, you know. All you gotta do is be bold, in control. You've been told, yeah. You're gold. Oh, 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 oh. In control. You've been told. Oh, I had to learn. People we meet, they don't always have the same attention. I internalize, I wear my disguise. Build the dark wicked. But I ain't gonna wave it down. Now I see this side. Ain't nobody tell you how. Do what you wanna do right now. You're gold. Everything you do, you know. All you gotta do is be told, in control. You've been told, yeah. You're gold. Oh, in control. You've been told. I'm going higher. I won't tire. Wanna elevate myself. I'm going higher. I'm higher. Higher. Looking to ain't gonna love like this. I never gonna love like this. So baby, I never gonna love like this. 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 So baby, I never gonna love like this. Never gonna love like this. This shows that you're cool. You know, in cold, in control. You've been told, yeah. You're cool. Oh, you've been told. You've been told. Oh. Okay, this is the song Back to Love. That was Gold that I got last year. This song I had out 2018. Yeah, but that one was tough. Ooh, yeah. You can dance if you want, but turn the music up, please. So many days, I know I got bills to pay. I'm high enough to make the kind of make things go away. Always needs to be music. I'm on the go as if for sure, but I'm just standing still. But all the attitude is fine. Just take one step at a time. And you see the signs. I
Thank you, you're fantastic. She cooks, she sings, she's a mama, she's just like part of the UK's foundation. Another massive round of applause, please, for JB Rose, the singing vegan mummy. Yay!
Be Inspired Woman